Hello, I am Chase McName, and I am part of Group 1. This is my video for developing your skills exercise, team exercise, part 1. And I tried to reach out to my group, and nobody got back to me this previous week, so I am making the video myself. As highlighted by Gene Phillips and Stanley Gully in our Strategic Staffing Chapter 12 Managing Workforce Flow PowerPoint, discharging employees may happen immediately after a policy violation or other job misconduct, such as a safety violation, failure to renew a professional license, etc., or after a long pattern of poor performance. Rather than separating multiple people from the company, as happening with downsizing, terminations focus on individual employees. Even in an age of employment at will, it is important to document the termination and keep thorough and accurate records regarding the case of the termination. Having terminated or laid off employees, a sign of severance agreements that includes a release stating that departing employee gives up some or all rights to sue. You can reduce the risk of future litigation. Employee releases are most often used when a company does not have proper documentation to fire an employee, but wants to end the employment relationship and reduce the possibility of a lawsuit. To be most effective, the release needs to involve some sort of consideration, usually money beyond any standard severance agreement. The employee needs to be given appropriate time to consider the offer and even change his or her mind after signing it. After the employee should be able to negotiate some of its contents to show that it was willingly signed. Some common termination errors: doing it publicly, writing a positive letter of reference after termination for cause, because this opens the company to charges of negligent referral, trying to document a termination for just cause, even though the case doesn't exist, firing an employee after a merit raise or favorable performance review, stating that the person conducting the termination meeting disagrees with the termination. Juries have also looked unfavorably at terminations that were done at the end of the workday or work week after an employee returns from a business trip or at the beginning of a holiday. Some termination tips include remaining impartial, calm, and in control of the conversation. You need to be respectful at all times. Listen to employee requests for severance terms, but reserve final decisions for a later time. Being heard and considered will increase the employee's perceptions of fairness. Be clear, don't send mixed messages. The shock of being fired can prevent the employee from listening to all of what you're saying. Make sure you repeat yourself if you feel your message is not being heard. Don't give career advice to someone that you've just fired. If the person is being terminated, don't say laid off, because that implies a possibility of return. Hold the meeting in private in a neutral location. Deliver information without engaging in an argument. Use prepared notes if necessary. Do not ramble, make promises, or make a mistake. Discuss the effective termination date, any severance package. Have the details of the termination and any severance package in writing so that the employee can take it with them or her along with the details of the termination. Make sure you're aware of legal compliance issues. Write up an accurate record of the termination interview and provide a copy to the employee. Cover matters such as returning identification cards and how to receive final paycheck. Involve company security if needed. Notify all relevant parties after discharge that the employee has been terminated. And then moving forward, as highlighted by the How to Terminate an Employee Firing Someone YouTube video by Turnkey Doc, terminating an employee is likely the most stressful and definitive act possible in the workplace. And for some people, being terminated can be stressful, as a death in the family and divorce. It is stressful for you, the employee, and those around you. Tips to help with termination. Um, if an employee is surprised by the termination, you've done something wrong. Progressive discipline is a great way to keep everyone on the same page. Make sure you have all your backup data in place before you meet with the employee, such as emails or previous write-ups. You need to have another person present during the actual termination, and their primary purpose for being there is to observe the document and document the proceedings. Next, keep the termination meeting between 5 and 15 minutes in the early to late afternoon. Try to hold the termination meeting at a time and location that will not parade the employee through the office. Remember, the purpose of the meeting is to inform the employee of the decision, not to debate it or review it. If the employee wants to debate the decision, ask them to send you an email after they have thought it through for a day or so. Have a detailed plan in place for what will happen after the interview. In most cases, you may want to have someone escort them to gather their belongings. Try to anticipate any questions and prepare your answers. Then think of any crazy questions or behaviors you might get, because going through possible scenarios will make you feel more comfortable when you face the situation. Some examples include when they start to cry, if the employee doesn't understand, they demand to talk to someone else, the employee stands up and starts to walk around, you feel threatened, or they refuse to leave. And lastly, make sure all paperwork involved with the termination is ready and written in plain, understandable language. With this guidance, I will walk through the steps that I would use to terminate an employee who is creating problems in the workplace. I would choose the day and time for the termination deliberately. I would prefer in conducting the termination in the afternoon on a Friday, because often this will create the minimum amount of disruption for the rest of the staff. I'm putting the company's interests first. For months, I've put up with less than stellar performance in hopes that the situation would somehow correct itself. Now that the end is at hand, I planned the transition, so to do least damage to the company and the coworkers. I will make sure that I'm on solid ground in terminating the employee. I will look for anything that could be twisted to suggest that the real reason for the termination is not the individual's performance, but rather a pretext or a personal grudge. Before I utter a word, I will write down the most important things I plan to say and then stick to my script. Because after all, this is not a counseling session. This is an announcement that an irrevocable decision has been made to discharge the individual. Therefore, I will get right to the point and break the bad news. I will state the reason for the termination in one or two short sentences, and then tell the person directly that he or she has been terminated. I will use a statement like, "Your employment has been terminated," and indicate the facts that led up to the termination, and in the discussion with the statement, "We have decided a change must be made, and as of today, your employment has been terminated." I will ensure that I avoid statements such as, "I understand how you feel," "I know this hurts right now, but later you realize that this is the best that could have happened, and you should have known." I will also listen to what the employee has to say, because there are several predictable reactions to the news that one has just lost their job. The most common reactions are shock, denial, anger, and grief. Listening to what the employee says will inform me which reactions they are experiencing. After all, my response will be more effective when I know how they are taking the news. I will cover everything essential, such as being specific about what will happen next: pay, benefits, unused vacation time, references, outplacement, explanations to coworkers, and ongoing projects. Lastly, I will wrap it up graciously. As previously stated, it's usually best to schedule the termination meeting at the end of the workday so that the meeting takes place while coworkers are leaving. I will close by thanking the individual for their contributions to the company, then walk with the now ex-employee back to their desk and wait while they collect their personal items. I will go to the exit with them, shake hands, wish them well, and hopefully part with both of our dignities intact.